talking about testosterone, and if you feel like you haven't got enough, or what happens if you've got too much, and what else?
That's it, isn't it? We're just talking about testosterone, basically.
Yeah, and from my part of like people online saying you can't have that much testosterone, or you must be taking something at that age. It's totally untrue, because if you don't miss too many days in your life, you won't deteriorate too hard. And obviously, like, some sort of genetic count is probably like real.
We miss too many days training.
Yeah.
And too many days of like looking after your health and looking after your well-being. Yeah.
Just longevity then, isn't it? Like life, to give a long lifespan, or one that's a natural lifespan. There's lots of ways of killing yourself, like a bus hitting you and you, I don't know, having a heart attack, or various things that can take you out prior to your lifespan, if you like. It's like I always think of like a wine glass or a test tube. In science, it doesn't last very long, as people smash it, but they've got they can live forever. They're eternal. Same wine glass, really, they get smashed just because of life. So there's a certain aspect of things that take you out. But if you're just going to try and live to the best of your capabilities in your life, you want to try and make sure every day you're doing something to do with that, and that'd be something like going for a walk and cleaning the arteries out and getting the blood flowing around and getting the blood to the peripherals. And I do a lot of that dancing and moving and using all the muscles to get to the peripherals and understand where your bone joints are, and eating the right food, because all that food, nutrients and minerals goes through to your blood, and obviously the blood feeds the body. And when you go around doing certain things, like if you don't feel too well, you get depressed about stuff, you send different types of hormones around your body. And if you go around and lift something heavy, you make hormones. It's like medicine. If you do press-ups, it's like medicine. If you do some pull-ups, it's like medicine. If you look after your relationships, it's like medicine. And if you eat the right food and sleep, it's all medicine for you. So like, you won't deteriorate and you won't lose so much, as long as you're putting medicine in. You're doing the right things for yourself, physically and mentally. But if you go through a week of eating rubbish food and then do that for a month every year, obviously that'd be 12 months over 12 years, and that's a year out of your life where you haven't looked after yourself. You can expect to have some sort of repercussion, and everything has a payment. Everything you do has some sort of weird side effect to it. So really important to try and keep your head together and train most days. And if you imagine that you're young, well, I do. I imagine that I noticed what I used to do. I was 20. I was lucky enough to train all my life, so then I know what I was doing at 25, and I know what I'm doing now. And there's certain things that I can lift and do that are copying my 25-year-old self, and I think that's a lot to do with keeping the oomph in your mind, because you feel more lethargic. Obviously, my arteries are not as clean as they used to be, and I'm older, and the energy might not be the same. But now I've got the mental understanding and the understanding of what to do. So that's all knowledge which can help me. And so I know to have cold showers. I know to go for a walk with my bag on my back for weight, because it promotes me to be a bigger, heavier person than I am. So my body gets provoked to send the hormones and the growth hormones around. And the shock hormones of cold showers and fasting and general training every day to clean all my arteries out and push more hormones in my blood. It's a consistent fill up every day, and if you don't do it, it empties your hormones out. I've been reading a book, and what do you think about it? Actually, been reading a book about testosterone and those sort of things, haven't you?
Well, it's an amazing book. It's called Determined. Zapolsky. Matagabe talks about it as well. Talks about the book. And his take is that everything that we do in life is predetermined. We're not really making choices. We come up against information, or we come up to situations in our life through chance, and then that can influence us in certain directions. but we're not choosing to have those interactions. We're not choosing to have those influences. That comes through our history. It comes through our ancestry. Anyway, one of the things that he ends up talking about is the influence of hormones and how much hormones can affect how we feel in any given moment throughout the course of the day. And so they're one of the things that's influencing our decisions that we're making about how we manage ourselves. And so talking about testosterone in particular, he was mostly talking about potentially negative effects of testosterone in this particular chapter, just to illustrate the point. And he was talking about aggression. He was talking about lack of ability to moderate your own behaviour, so lack of impulse control. He was saying that if you increase the testosterone levels, then it can cause, I think it was in monkeys, it causes monkeys to become more aggressive to people that are lower in the pecking order than them, but not more aggressive to people that are higher in the pecking order. So it doesn't actually change your position in the rankings. It just makes you more aggressive and unpleasant to the monkeys in the lower ranks. So there are all these sort of effects on testosterone on our thinking that are influenced by hormones. And it's not just testosterone. There's literally, scores and scores of hormones that are influencing us in any given moment throughout the course of the day and throughout the course of our lives. But you can influence your testosterone levels through your activities and through your lifestyle and through also if you're taking artificial hormones, then that's going to ramp your testosterone up to a level that might make things become really difficult for you. So yeah.
There's a mate down the road, he takes double dosage of testosterone. I've known him a number of years, and because he was fired up on double doses, he was extra energetic, and it's a bit like having a fly that's got too much petrol inside it, or say it's buzzing around too much, and he's sniffing for too much sex because his hormones have gone on overdrive, because obviously testosterone makes you feel umphy and horny, if you like. And his garden was double cleaned up, but he couldn't have a rest, and he's always sniffing for sex. And then him and his missus ain't together no more because it was too much of a drive. Like, you got to realise that when you're living a natural diet, sleep, and as much communicating in the most subtle, beautiful ways you can, it leaves a peacefulness. It's got a very calm state of mind, less stress to the body. So when you're not taking synthetics and you're a human producing your own testosterone, you can have the opposite. You can have your very quiet times. You can have your body on the least stress, where you've got the least amount of heartbeats going and the least amount of breathing you need to survive. But as soon as you're poking your body with stimulant, it puts your heartbeat up, puts your blood rushing faster, and causes more stress. And stress is the overall thing of all stuff, I think. Because if it's too much testosterone, there's too much stress on your body. If you don't sleep properly, it's stress. If you don't exercise, it's stress. And you're not accompanying your body on a journey of helping it have the least heartbeats, but also giving it a run up the road to get the heartbeats up, to be pumped up to work as well. And there's an efficiency you can get out of your body, and on your resting pulses and your resting heartbeat, you want to be calm and you want to be breathing very gently and not much stress. But if you take stimulant and you take stuff, it whacks your heartbeat up a couple, makes you go faster, makes you talk more. That affects your environment. That environment becomes more stressful because you start cutting too many bushes, you start trying to shag your missus and it ain't happening. And
I think that's a really, like, the effect of testosterone in a relationship and what that does to that dynamic is massive, isn't it?
yeah, cheers.
That's not something to be like taken lightly, because if your testosterone levels are too high and you're too desperate, if you like, it's very unattractive. It's not an attractive thing for a woman to feel that pressure to have sex. It's like, it becomes like this horrible push me pull me of like, the more you want it, the more the other person's going and I know so many people in relationships like that. This is not just an isolated person, is it? It's that where that dynamic has pushed it to where it's always the man who wants the sex and the woman's like, get off.
It's not. It's also the women. Like the women, if they take testosterone, obviously they have a drive. But what I've noticed is that I know another woman or a couple of women who have been out with blokes on testosterone, and those women were stressed at the beginning before that relationship, and they was abused and stuff, and they watch porn and they watch stuff, and men pleasing for sex. That means they think their old man should shag them really hard and bust their vagina, if you like, and that's abuse to their own mind, because they don't know about sensual connection. And this girl I know, she used to be going out with weight training and took testosterone, and the woman herself was abused as a relationship, so she didn't feel self-worth. So the geezer who was smashing her from behind was on testosterone on a whatever dosage, and he was shagging her for how much time. And then after that, she got with someone who was not taking testosterone and was coming down to that peaceful state in the evenings where he can have his heartbeat low and he's been sensual and quiet and peaceful, but the woman was still vibed and high on like the feeling that she wants to fulfill the soothing of being abused by her husband, because
it's not abuse though, is it? If she's consenting, that's not quite the right.
No, because she was abused, but it's all like it's watching
like
the porn.
It's a disconnect from internal sensations, where she's become desensitized. So she's become desensitized to the point where she needs a huge amount of sensation to get a feeling. So she's become desensitized through her situation, where she's not quite in touch with her feelings, she's not quite in touch with her sensations enough for a more low stimulus, calmer, quieter feeling to be noticeable. So she's got disconnected from her own physicality, and then it becomes about what the culture says, which is to be good in bed, you have to somehow look a particular way. And so the sex becomes quite visual. It's like, oh yeah, I'm in this position, I look like this, I'm going to make this face, I'm going to have my hair like this, I'm going to have my body look like that. And it's no longer about sensation and feeling, it becomes about something visual.
Yeah, like pornographic fucking film, isn't it?
Yeah, but that can be through abuse, but it's not that the husband's being abusive or the partner's being abusive, having rough sex with her.
No, that's what I mean, but her stimulus, like I say, from previous stuff to get a feeling, she don't get any feelings because it hurts her. She just believes she don't believe in herself to not have it any different way because she wants to men please or whatever it is. I don't know what it is.
I think it's just that visual thing of like you want to be good in bed. Like everybody wants to be good in whatever good in bed is. They want to be good in bed, and if you want to be good in bed, then you want to be sexy. Or what the hell's sexy? That's like a visual thing, isn't it? It's not really like it's not a sensation, because when you're making love, that's completely different. It's not to do with being sexy.
No.
It's like connecting, and you're connecting to that point where it's like you're
sensual.
So melted into the universe. It's not like it's nothing to do with looking sexy, whatever that is, or being sexy, or.
Anyway, like when she got married, like when she went out with the geezer who weren't taking testosterone, she told him to take testosterone because she was not feeling it enough, and that made him feel inadequate and caused the whole mad situation. So I believe in the organic calmness and quietness, and if you can be quiet and take yourself to more heartbeats and higher ranges naturally, there's scope from being able to breathe very gently and get your heartbeat really slow, lets you become very calm in your environment, and lets you hear things, notice things, and feel things. And if you go and do heavy training and through the ladder of going up, moving from very minimal heartbeat, resting to the top of where you can lift and run and walk and mentally think and do your best in whatever you're doing, having the oomph in it, that's what creates a big scope of hormones inside you. But when it comes to like poking it with synthetics, you've got an imagination that you think that you're going to need that stuff, and it puts stuff in you that elevates your heart and stresses you. So you can't really become calm and content when you're poking synthetics, because you're going to have to leave it or stay with it for the rest of your life. The mate up the road's going to have to stay with it all his life, as far as I'm concerned. And unless he really works out his gentle dosage of a natural human being at his age, or learn to understand the symptoms of all that stuff and find out what he wants in his life without losing and without destimulating himself. So it's really sad, because I hate it when I see my mates 20 odd and they're watching geezers who are 30, 35 and they're on testosterone and steroids, and the steroid geezers over the last 30 years we've gone through magazines and every picture in there's got to be a certain physique, certain look, and now we're moving into a more of a nurtured, loving place. So all those blokes who were taking all the steroids and testosterone and all that sort of stuff are slightly old-fashioned now, and there's a nature to life, and that's the place where you're going to have the most longevity. You're going to have longevity of a calm, interconnective life to be in reception to everyone else is in that state. That means that you're not going to have too much testosterone to piss the person up, or too much steroids to cause aggravation. You're on a natural stimuli of your life. And like to get growth hormone going, I put a rucksack on my back. So like people who are overweight, I put them on their back, use their legs. They've got really strong legs. So you can get your power up and you can get all the things you want through a natural way, like cold showers, putting a rucksack on your back, 20 kilos, doing some pull-ups, 20 kilos on your back, squats heavy as you can on the end of your session to get the growth hormone in you. And hot and cold variation of being freezing to really hot, and your body goes through all the calibers of heat and temperatures and cold temperatures, which gives you loads of hormones, stress hormones, in between from the cold to the hot, to give you...
There's a difference, isn't there, between like you want to create stress so that your body can
temporary stress,
have a chance to respond, but you don't want chronic stress,
you
which
don't
is
want
ongoing stress, and that and then you're having to respond to chronic stress is a different thing. So if you're taking a testosterone supplement, that's a chronic stress that you're putting into your system. Whereas if you're doing a temporary stress of a cold shower, that's something where you're causing a stress, your body gets to practice responding, and then the stress goes away and you're not in a chronic state of freezing cold. Like if you were permanently in a freezing cold shower, that'd be a problem. So you've got to draw a distinction between a chronic stress situation and a temporary self-induced stress for a purpose. Like lifting a really heavy weight. Okay, you're lifting a really heavy weight, that is a stress on your system, but it's giving your system a chance to learn to respond well to stress, and then you're taking the stress away, so it's got a chance to reset. But if you're never getting that opportunity to reset, that's a problem.
Yeah, because when you're doing all these variable things on a temporary basis, you're setting there's loads of like movement, there's loads of space, you can move in different ways. And when you're having hot and cold and variations, there's loads of different hormones you can find through having loads of variation. And so it's really important for variable food, for instance, to give you loads of different types of feed towards your microbiomes and your microorganisms. They love loads of different variety. And if you can make a variety of hormones in your body, from hot to cold, I don't know, rolling around in the mud, lifting heavy things, sleeping well,
doing things that you enjoy, massively just increases your
overall well-being. Your overall well-being. So like, I disagree. I don't like on the adverts and everyone doing stuff right now. It's about taking this and getting that, and it's all fast gratification and reading stuff, and because it's like the limelight, it's in the news at the moment, testosterone and steroids, and it's almost like normal. I've watched it over the years, and I've always, the scariest person for me years ago was Monkey Magic and Grasshopper, and that was organic. So I used to watch them, and if I thought if I went to prison or wherever, I was going to be organic. I'm going to do press ups, I'm going to eat what I eat, and I don't want to be going towards all the stuff that poison me just because I'm fearful or scared. I'm much more scared of a person who's looking after themselves and their mind's working. They're much more valuable to the environment, to be broad spectrum on a broad way of coping. Like if you're natural, you can cope in a very broad way. If you direct yourself into small particles of synthetics, you're going into a zone that it's not that broad. It's fucking false, and it's got a little box to it, so you can't calm down. You can't come to be sensitive. You can't come to noticing other things. I mean, there's loads of selfish worlds. There's loads of people who make the top of the ladder in the business world, and they might take testosterone and be a complete fucking arsehole. So it depends what you want out of life. But for me, to be just waving in the wind and be sensitive to a breeze on my face, for me to like be sensitive with Tara and feel the sensual stroke of a goose, the goosebumps of strokes, and to have a relationship where you don't fight, where you communicate your words and try and have no winners. And
that's the thing, isn't it? I think testosterone's like a winning. It's seen as something for winning. I think there's a massive culture of like being the most successful. Like you want to be at the top of your game. You want to be the most successful, but that just goes against actual peace or health, because for health you need everyone around you to be feeling healthy, because then you feel healthy. Well, you can't feel healthy if you're winning and they're losing, and so it goes against common sense to have winners, to have like success as such, because it's not health. It's not health of the planet. It's not health of individuals. It's not health of anyone apart from the economy.
Yeah, each individual, if we all help each other, like we all like don't have a winner, we all come together. So that's like a massive contribution to the environment. It's not a simple fast fix of gratification, won a football match, but over the years of all of us not going towards those winning things, and you're coming together to work out how to live together, to have a really nice time, to be sensual together and help each other, is the way to make a world that works. But all the time you're going for steroids, testosterone, simple gratification, winning. You're just causing a world that's totally separated, and that makes a loser. Like I'm saying, it's going to send me off on another tangent. But like, yeah. Anyway, testosterone.
But you can like, some people really do suffer with low testosterone, don't they? And that is it's really recognisable, because it causes a lack of motivation. It causes a lack of confidence. It can cause a lack of useful aggression. But there's so many natural ways to actually elevate your testosterone level without resorting to just popping a pill. It's like if you have depression, you just pop a pill for depression. It's not really fixing your depression. And the same with testosterone. If you've got a lack of health and so you're feeling low ebb, just having some testosterone, it's not really
it's not going to help the tablet,
it.
not at all. It's all wiring, isn't it? It's lack of care for yourself, to be fair. And when I've been down the gym before, I've heard young lads that are like 20, 22 going, yeah, I think I'm going to get on a dose of this shit. And I look at them, they're quite fit fellas, but they're nowhere near as fit as they could be. They're nowhere near top of their game. So if you're not willing to run, and you're not willing to lift up, and not willing to put yourself into the realm of doing the best that you can do and as much as you can do to lift your own testosterone, so that means you're being as fit as you can capably be. That means you're thinking about your diet, thinking about your sleep, thinking about your relationships, thinking about your food. If you ain't doing that, and then you're going to cheat, so you're just going to have your rubbish, you're going to have your testosterone.
It's like testosterone, bone crisps.
Yeah.
Like you sit down on the sofa, it's like, well, that ain't it.
No, exactly. And then that kiddie there takes testosterone, and he's going to meet a bird, and he's got to get off of that. And then there's me, who's 52, still lifting more than that kiddie who wants to take testosterone. I'm still having cold showers and doing my responsible things for myself, my relationships, my food, my sleep and everything. And I look at that kiddie and I think, what a fucking idiot, because he's only 22, 23, 24, 25, and he's getting himself into a realm where he's looking out of his eyes. Everyone's talking about testosterone, but he doesn't know how far he can go. Like, I know I could run 30 miles. I know I can lift this for 2 or 3 hours. I know I could stand there in a cold shower and be like, whatever, I can handle this. I know my things that I can do. You've got to know your top end of your capabilities and know that you've tried that before you start delving and pressing the buttons towards your doctors and you're paying dough for supplements of testosterone to try and pick you up out of your doldrums, because it's your doldrums that are causing that. So like, don't pick that shit up unless you have pushed yourself, pulled yourself to the limits, or pulled yourself to your healthiest version of you can be. And that takes a bit of knowledge. I mean, you've got to research to know what food you're eating. You've got to research to know how to use your body. You've got to research to know what hormones and gut biome and microorganisms you are. You've got to know about your food and your garden, where it comes from. You've got to know about your sleep, and you've got to know all these things. If you don't know this shit, research it, because you need to know. Otherwise, you're going to look for that simple little touch of a button to buy stuff, to think that you're going to get a temporary hit, and then you've just put something else into the ladder that's a problem. Like, I can't tell you how much problem. I absolutely hate it. Just be yourself.
It causes such a
I fucking hate it. It really winds me up, because look, how big do you want to be? I could take testosterone and get a couple of inches bigger, but I've been doing it for years and years and years. I'm only always 10 to 15% lower than that geezer who's near enough killing himself. And I'll go in there as a natural human being. Look at Anatoly, for instance, doing whatever he does. He goes in there and smashes them massive boys, and them massive boys all look like this. Anatoly's a fit dude who's been doing his training for years. Same as me, I'm just doing my training. So don't start poking stuff unless you know how far you can go, and you better start checking yourself out and testing yourself, because you're letting yourself down, you're letting your missus down, you're letting everyone down if you start to play that game. Really letting yourself down. Really, you really need to know who you are and what you can do. Really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Enough. And yeah. All good?
Yeah, I think so. There was something else I was thinking, so I can't remember what it was. It's gone. It's fine.
Cool.